We're trying something new and novel this evening. Our clerk is joining us virtually. So we're going to give it a shot, see how it goes. But we're going to have a little extra patience for Carrie and me in case there's some pauses for questions or what have you. So thanks for joining us. Carrie, can you go ahead with the roll call, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me okay?
We sure can.
Okay. Mayor Dexter?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Carr?
Here.
Councilmember Meyer?
Present.
Councilmember Miller?
Here.
Councilmember Schroman Warren?
Here.
Councilmember Suggs?
Here.
Did I leave someone off? My apologies.
Drew Schwab.
Oh, Councilmember Schwab, thank you.
I almost said I was here for Latricia because I'm so used to saying it right after Lindsay.
It'll go smooth from here. Okay, thank you. Manager West?
Present.
Attorney Bloor?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. If you can please stand as you are able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and we do have a proclamation this evening. There are so many groups that could have received it that it would have been a whole event in and of itself. So I am just going to read it and know if you are listening or in the audience and are doing any work on behalf of our environment, our earth as it is, that we're acknowledging you in this proclamation. So I have today a proclamation recognizing Earth Day, April 22nd, 2025. Whereas Earth Day began as an educational effort on environmental issues. The efforts were led by Senator Gaylord Nelson, and the original date was chosen as April 22nd to coincide with spring break and final exams to promote and encourage student participation. His efforts were to raise public awareness on why now each year we recognize the day as a reminder that it is our responsibility to preserve our environment for future generations. And whereas the city regularly promotes waste reduction and recycling, provides for proper disposal of hazardous waste, and provides numerous rebates and incentives to encourage energy-efficient technology in residential, commercial, and industrial uses. And whereas the City Council has made environmental protection one of their top priorities in their list of 2025 legislative priorities, asking that our representatives support the protection of forests within the Elwha watershed. Additionally, the Council included in the 2025-2026 strategic plan goals to reinforce environmental stewardship by leading change and investing in achievable solutions in aligning the city's climate action plan. This plan, informed by community input, establishes specific actions that we can take to reduce our vulnerability and increase our resilience to sea level rise, drought, and other impacts of climate change. And whereas this Earth Day, let us take a moment to appreciate the beauty and importance of our natural environment. The responsibility of preserving that environment is shared by the entire community, and the City of Port Angeles acknowledges the efforts of countless individuals, businesses, government, and nonprofit agencies who work to sustain the productive capacity of our forest, marine, agricultural, and atmospheric ecosystems for future generations. The city calls upon each resident to take step towards change with the knowledge and confidence the city is also doing so. It is our collective responsibility to protect our natural resources and invest in our planet's future. Now, therefore, I, Kate Dexter, on behalf of the City Council of Port Angeles, do hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2025 as Earth Day in Port Angeles and encourage all residents to participate in this important effort by taking action in their daily lives to promote the resilience and sustainability of the Port Angeles community. Thank you. All right. That brings us to late items. Are there any late items from staff?
Mayor and Council, no late items from staff this evening.
All right. Are there any late items from Council? All right. Hearing none. We will move on to public comment. If you are joining us virtually and wish to make a public comment, please raise your virtual hand now. And I'll get my timer ready if there are any people online. And then if you are in council chambers, it looks like I have one for second public comment, two for second public comment. Anyone wish to speak to an item on tonight's agenda? Okay, we'll go Steve and then John.
In Palaio, I have a couple businesses within city limits of Port Angeles. Tonight's agenda talks a little bit about the LTAC award grants. I recently learned that we're looking into to revise some of the procedures for the LTAC committee. This is great news.
Steven, that was last meeting.
No, the LTAC grants in this agenda, LTAC grant awards, last like 3 pages of the LTAC agenda. There's a long list of awards.
I think it's a CED.
Mayor, there is some LTAC content in the
Got it.
grant report.
Okay, all right, sorry, go ahead. It's not like an item we're taking action on, which I guess was sort of my thought, but go
I
ahead.
spoke to it last week and we're trying to approve the minutes from last week as well. And so it's really just kind of a follow on to that. I'm happy to hear that we are looking to revise some procedures for LTAC. I think it's great news. The committee's been a little bit dysfunctional over the last year or so. So my only ask tonight is that we use these revisions to also get a full transparency on all the cash flows for the LTAC fund. I was using the city's own open books website for the data for the past, as far back as I could get. And it just seems like awards are either missing or maybe they're unclaimed and not reimbursed, but I can't even see historical outlays for Pier Tower, for Dream Park, for Pump Track, for baseball, for basketball. I don't understand why those don't show in the open books data that's coming across here. So again, I would like to see just a little bit more full accounting there, not just the inbound tax collection revenues, but how much we're allocating for, I think, staff time gets charged for expenses, how much is actual awarded versus what's reimbursed and unclaimed, and then any assumptions that we have behind any forecasts or calculations for reserves. That's my only request. Thanks.
Thank you. John.
Hi, John Ralston, City of Port Angeles resident. I'm here again to talk about, I guess the feds might be having problems with money and the state might be having problems with money. And I suspect the county and the city are at some point going to have problems with money. So I'm going to encourage you to scale back on any purchases you have or are planning to make. I suspect you're going to approve of a number of these items that are on the agenda tonight, but I'm going to keep bringing them up and see if they can be scheduled or to later dates, because I think you're going to find a string of income coming into the city is going to be dropping soon. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And Justin.
Hello, Justin Williamson, city resident. I'd like to start off by thanking the fire department and the police department for being more transparent on the expenditure report. And then the second thing, I guess, because it's Earth Day, I'll bring this up. We're replacing a vehicle from 2008, 6.7 liter diesel truck, because I guess it had a catastrophic engine failure in 2018. And then I guess a couple of months ago or last month, it had another engine failure. I'd just like to point out that in the 50s, GM made a 671 Detroit diesel that got over millions of miles on it, and the whole thing was able to be taken out of the bus, put back in the bus, or completely stripped down and rebuilt, put back in the bus in less than 24 hours, the team of 4 people. And those things still will go millions of miles from the 50s. And now we're producing vehicles, same capacity, same cubic inches, 6.7 liters, what we're replacing. And I've noticed that you guys didn't even bother to put the amount of miles that the vehicle got before it had a catastrophe or breakdown and the engine went out. You put like 11,000 hours, which doesn't really show miles. So as long as we're paying $150,000 for new vehicles, and we're also stating that we're doing climate change and new deals and green initiatives, maybe this planned obsolescence in the vehicles and how many miles they get before the city and counties throw new money at brand new vehicles should be looked at more heavily, because in the 50s we were making vehicles that lasted way longer. And I know we probably don't want to see vehicles from the 50s running around, even though they had a lot more artistic look to them and were designed more durably. But that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? We don't have any hands online. So I'm going to pause for just a second and then we'll go to the consent agenda. All right, thank you. So we have the consent agenda. Is there anything anyone would like to pull from the consent agenda? All right, I don't hear anything anyone would like to add to the consent agenda. Drew.
G1 Municipal Code Amendment 24-49 for Chapter 15.2. Conduct the first reading, waive the second reading, and adopt the ordinance.
Any opposition to that? Okay.
Okay. J1 2024 Olympic Discovery Trail Winter Storm Repair Contract Con 2024-44. Award and authorize.
Any opposition? Okay.
J2 Vehicle Purchase Replacement of Street Division Vehicle Number 7505. Approve and authorize.
Any opposition to that?
Okay, I'll keep that one off. And
Okay.
Well, I'll go ahead and request J3 Equipment Purchase Replacement of Stormwater Division Broom Sweeper 1540. Approve and authorize.
Any opposition there? Okay.
J4 Port Angeles Fire Department Turnout Gear Replacement Purchase FD-0415. Approve and authorize.
Any opposition there? Okay.
Those are my only requests this evening.
Okay. So, yes, you have a question?
Well, I'm hoping that since we do have, it looks like staff prepared a presentation for us. I'm wondering if we can just get a short update before we vote on the consent agenda, the not maybe the whole presentation.
Sure. Yeah. What do you?
I mean, isn't it pretty close? Like, do we want to lose federal flood insurance? No. Let's pass it. But I don't want to deny Courtney her presentation. It might be your first.
Yes.
Yeah, let's
So
not do
here's what I would propose. We can put it on the consent agenda and still have the presentation. So we'll keep it on consent and then you'll be up next. So then we'll do that. Okay. I will read the consent agenda. The City Council minutes of April 1st, 2025. Expenditure report from March 22nd, 2025 to April 4th, 2025 in the amount of $2,136,099.47. Airport electrical conduit boring contract award, CON-2025-02. Professional services agreement award, PSA-2025-16 intersection control study TR-0322. 2023 pavement repairs on project CON 2022-45 final acceptance. Police Department and Washington State Patrol facility use agreement. Temporary amendment to wholesale water agreement between City of Port Angeles and the Public Utility District Number 1 of Clallam County. Municipal Code Amendment 24-49 of Chapter 15.12 of the Port Angeles Municipal Code, flood damage prevention. Conducting the first reading, waive the second reading, and adopt the ordinance. 2024 Olympic Discovery Trail Winter Storm Repair Contract, CON 2024-44. Equipment purchase replacement of Stormwater Division Broom Sweeper number 1540. Port Angeles Fire Department Turnout Gear Replacement Purchase FD-0415. Any comments, questions, or a motion to approve?
I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
second, Brendan.
All right. Anyone opposed to the motion to approve the consent agenda as read, please state your opposition. All right, hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And I might be wrong, but I just really quickly, I guess I sort of did have a comment. Is the turnout gear really from the CFP in 2015? Am I interpreting that correctly?
I believe that's when it was placed into the CFP. That's just
It's like the holding. line. Okay.
Yeah, the item number.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Thank you. And even though we've approved it, let's have a presentation. I'm going to go to Calvin first and then Courtney.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to skip my normal 90-second introduction. We are really excited to have Courtney Bornsworth, our newish Natural Resources and Grant Administrator, for her first council presentation. And as she's coming up to the podium, tonight's recommendation was to conduct the first reading, waive the second, and pass the ordinance, which you have done. And so, Madam Mayor and council members, I'll turn it over to Courtney. Thank you.
Mayor and Council, tonight's presentation is on the Municipal Code Amendment for Chapter 1512 Flood Damage Prevention. Hard copies of this presentation are available at the Council dais and in the lobby for the public. This presentation is roughly 3 minutes long. I ask that you please consider holding your questions until the end, as questions early on will likely be addressed on a later slide. Additionally, you will find a detailed staff memo starting on page G1 of your packet, which provides further specifics on the proposal. For some background information, in February 2024, FEMA notified the city that Chapter 1512 of Port Angeles Municipal Code no longer met state and federal requirements. At that point, city staff began consulting with the appropriate regulatory agencies to learn where the code was deficient and began making edits to the code. A State Environmental Policy Act checklist was prepared and noticed on June 8th, 2024. The public comment period ended June 22nd, 2024. No public comment was received on the proposal and a determination of non-significance was issued. For some further background information, FEMA began updating the flood risk insurance maps, otherwise known as FIRMs, for our area in 2021, with preliminary maps completed in 2023. These new FIRMs were created using updated data and newer technology to more accurately represent the risk of flooding in our region. These updated FIRMs will come into effect April 23rd, 2025. The updated code revisions must be adopted prior to this date to be compliant with FEMA's requirements for the issuance of these maps. Some changes that happened to Chapter 1512 include the following: the addition of new definitions that comply with the Washington State Model Ordinance, modification of current definitions to come into compliance with Washington State Model Ordinance, clarification of unclear or confusing language, clarification of penalties for violations, and updating standards for construction within a floodplain to come into compliance with Washington State Model Ordinance. On March 26, 2025, Planning Commission made a motion advising City Council to adopt the ordinance for updates to Port Angeles Municipal Code, Chapter 1512. The motion carried. Per FEMA requirements, the ordinance must be adopted by April 23rd, 2025. Failure to do so would result in suspension from the National Flood Insurance Program, rendering the community ineligible for flood insurance through the NFIP. Staff recommends that City Council adopt the ordinance for updates to Port Angeles Municipal Code, Chapter 1512, to come into compliance with state and federal requirements. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
Brendan, go ahead.
Yeah, if you could just quickly explain what the National Flood Insurance Program is, just for people who don't understand, and is that how insurance agencies are able to offer flood insurance to those people in areas where flood is potential?
I'm going to let Manager Cartmel answer that question.
Good evening. So yes, the NFIP is the insurance program that they have to be compliant with FEMA in order to get insurance and get lower rates on flood insurance. Enough?
It wasn't for me, it was for everybody else. It's for them.
Are there any other questions? Yep, I understood. I understood what you were doing. Latricia, go ahead.
Just to clarify, isn't the National Flood Insurance Program, it's a federal program, but most insurance companies do not provide insurance for flood. That's why it's so important that we have it.
It is definitely extra cost, significant if you don't have partnership with the NFIP program.
So I haven't looked at the maps. I'm just wondering, is there a major change that you guys seen with the new updated maps for our area? Is like things that we should be aware of? I'm just kind of curious.
I haven't studied them in depth, but I will say that, you know, the shoreline, I believe is generally the same designation as it has been. We don't have a lot of flood areas in the city of Port Angeles. And I believe that the streams each have a little bit larger of a flood area than they did previously, but it's not a significant change.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Thank you. I do think it's a little ironic that we passed this ordinance in the same week that the federal government told Washington we're not getting money for the recent disaster. So hopefully this will matter. All right. That brings us to item J1. Thank you very much. And thanks for making that available for us up here. All right, J1. Scott. J2, sorry, it's J2. We already did J1. The equipment purchase for the storm, for the, oh my God. The street division vehicle. Scott.
Council, good evening. So on page J4 of the packet. So this is a piece of equipment that was in the fleet replacement plan a few years out. It was nearing the end of its useful life if it had run its normal course. But we did encounter a catastrophic failure with this particular piece of equipment. It is the only one that we have for this purpose. As our sign truck, it has specific equipment on it. I did look at alternative vehicles within the city. We just didn't currently have anything that kind of matched the work that this truck is intended to do. So, give an example. We have a large Super Duty truck that we have for our mechanics as a service. It's another service body truck, but it was not something that I could. It was going to cost additional funds to further upfit that vehicle, and then it would still be a joint use. So it just wasn't something. Honestly, that made financial sense to do. So, long story short, we bumped this up a few years in the plan. We're replacing it in kind with a new service body. I don't disagree at all with the comments. Trucks today are certainly significantly more complicated than they were in the past. Far more computerized, far more electronic components, which is generally a common point of failure. I would remind council, we have 3 mechanics currently, and we have a significant number of vehicles. So part of my strategy with this is trying to get rid of our problem vehicles, our older stuff, to provide a more manageable workload for the staff that we have. I'm trying to get the group back to really focusing on what the mission is, which is preventive maintenance and paying attention to how we're using the vehicles, getting them in, and heading off these issues beforehand. So. I wasn't here previously for the history of this. There's a line when you invest, it's just not worth throwing good money after bad anymore. And that's really, unfortunately, the situation that we are in with this vehicle. So we will still surplus this. We'll get something out of that. But the memo before you tonight is to replace this vehicle so we can continue on with the mission of maintaining our signs throughout the city. So happy to answer any further questions.
Thank you, Director Curtin. Any questions from, yep, Brendan, go ahead.
Yeah, I totally understand the rotation of the trucks and why we have to get rid of them. The catastrophic failure of the current truck is unfortunate. I see, the accessories are like 40 grand, and I'm just curious if the ability to take the accessories off the old vehicle is something that could be done, and maybe thinking about for future. Also, maybe Ford sort of blew up last time. I mean, 17 years is pretty good, but is there brand loyalty? Are we Ford people? Is that the case? Can we move Chevrolet, Dodge? But not bad on the price of the actual truck though. 108,000. That's pretty good. I gotta congratulate you on that.
So great question. And I appreciate you asking that. We generally purchase these off the state contract. We do have the ability, some ability to specify brand. And I'm not bound. I happen to be a Ford guy, but that's not my role here. That's not what I'm looking.
Found on road dead, Scott.
Here.
That's what's
it would be very, mine's in the parking lot, so it'd be very, for me to claim otherwise would be wrong. When looking at other parts of the fleet, we do have some benefits on standardizing certain things within the fleet. So the F-150s, for example, as we get more and more of those, there's cost benefits to the mechanics doing the same thing over and over again, stocking same parts, things like that. So there's some benefits in doing that. But with that said, no. And when we go through this, if something changed in this dynamic, if the availability through the state said that this Ford is now 6 months out and there's a Chevy that's a month out or something like that, we would likely change that without an issue. That's not what it's about. I'm not tied to, frankly, Ford any more than Chevy or Dodge, to be quite honest with you. So getting to the accessories, it's not to say that we can't. If they were newer, it's a little more feasible. But tying those accessories onto old accessories onto new service bodies is not always a simple thing. And a lot has got to do with the controls and the electronics on how those things function. So oftentimes what you end up doing is you end up spending more money to get those older things to work, and then you still have an end of service life that you have to factor for within your fleet plan for managing it. So it just further complicates things. So
Thank you, Scott.
thank you.
Any other questions from council? Go ahead.
I guess not really a question. I just want to say that I think I appreciate us. I know that there's been questions about why are we continuing to move forward with purchasing vehicles, but I think, to me, I was thinking about that, and I think one of the key things that I appreciate that we have kind of a vehicle replacement plan in the capital facilities plan, and I appreciate that. And I think it's the value of continuing to move forward right now is because of the uncertainty with the tariff issues, especially with the cost of vehicles and being able to secure existing vehicles that are already here that could, if we delayed a couple of years, could potentially be increased in cost because of what we're seeing with the tariff wars that are out there. So I appreciate us. And then I also appreciate in here that you've identified that you've put on hold future purchases to accommodate for this. So you're thinking about that, and I appreciate that. And I think that there's value that we continue to move forward. And I'm glad that we've moved forward on the prior purchases because, again, I mean, we didn't know that this was going to happen. Or well, we had heard that there was this like for tariffs, but I didn't anticipate that it'd be 145% tariffs suggestion on one country. So I just want to say thanks, and you have my support as we move forward with this because of the volatility and the changes that are out there, and appreciate that.
So if I could, just last thing to say, there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into this. This is a substantial plan, and it's really been challenging for me to wrap my head around the whole. I wasn't thrilled about coming tonight after 2 weeks ago I gave a fleet presentation, and now I have 2 new pieces of equipment that I'm coming back to council. So that was not my desire to do, but here I am. Finance is a huge player in this, just like you said, to make sure that we have the funding in place. And Serena and I work closely together along with our fleet folks to make sure that we're showing things correctly and adjusting accordingly so that we can afford those. But it is a very dynamic thing. It's not just about buying new. I generally try to look at these. It's a total cost of ownership. It's not your original purchase price of what you're buying. It's what it costs to own and maintain and operate over the life of that piece of equipment. And that varies by piece of equipment. And we have some good ones, we have some bad ones, and we have to adjust accordingly. So like poor Serena has to adjust every time we hit, a pothole in the field, for lack of a, it changes things. I mean, we have to adjust accordingly with our plan. So, so far so good, but I greatly appreciate the support as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions or a motion? Anyone?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
There's 3 parts, so you might want to, it's page J4.
Here, you got it. It's right there.
We just had this conversation. I can't
I know. You want me to?
I'll move to approve the purchase of the new 2025 F-350 4x4 flatbed truck for the street division from Bud Clary Ford of Longview, Washington, for a total amount not to exceed $148,256.91, including applicable tax and accessories. 2, to authorize the city manager to approve and execute the final purchase documents to complete the purchase and to make minor modifications as necessary. And 3, to authorize city manager to surplus vehicle number 7505 and dispose of that vehicle in a commercially reasonable manner upon the addition of the new vehicle to the city fleet.
Second.
Any further comments or questions? Okay. The DJ down here says, I may have misheard you. I think you said F-350. It's a 550. So I just want to, I'm just going to, that's how I'm going to read it. I'm just stating that out loud. All right. So, it always seems a little silly when someone has just read it, but, we have a motion to approve the purchase of a new 2025 Ford F-550 4x4 flatbed truck for the street division from Bud Clary Ford of Longview, Washington, for a total amount not to exceed $148,256.91, including applicable tax and accessories. Authorize the city manager to approve and execute the final purchase documents to complete the purchase and to make minor modifications as necessary, and authorize the city manager to surplus vehicle 7505 and to dispose of that vehicle in a commercially reasonable manner upon addition of the new vehicle to the city fleet. Any opposition to the motion? Anyone opposed to the motion, please state your opposition. All right, hearing none, the motion passes unanimously and we will move on. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, council reports. Latricia, I'm calling you first.
Attended Clallam County. I've attended several Clallam County MRC just meetings. Oh, no, that's it. I guess I really don't have a report. We haven't had William Shore. I missed the William Shore one, I think. I was gone. So, all right. Thank you. And I just want to give a shout out to my daughter. It was her birthday yesterday. So she turned happily 20 years old.
Happy birthday to her. Drew, go ahead.
Yeah, so last week on Monday and Tuesday, I was able to attend the Olympic Peninsula 2025 Tourism Summit. It was held out at Seven Cedars. They did forward me a couple of the PowerPoint presentations that was presented. If council is interested in that, I will send it to staff and they can disseminate it to whoever might be interested in that. It was 2 days, ton of different talks, all of it very useful. Just a quick keynotes that I wrote down that maybe more pertinent to everyone here. As far as regional sharing goes, the whole Rainforest Road is actively being repaired. And they're actually hoping for that to be ready to go Memorial Day weekend. For those who may be either on council or in the audience who are unaware, the road leading to the Hoh Rainforest was completely washed out and impassable. And we had no idea if anyone would be able to go to the Hoh Rainforest, period. There was local fundraising in the Forks area, as well as they were able to get some state funding. And so the Hoh Rainforest Road is actually being worked on, so that will be worked. There were concerns regarding Canada. We did have some people from the tourism industry from Canada who were able to go over here. The concerns right there is, of course, it has been suggested that the U.S. does not spend marketing dollars in Canada right now. That might be a poor idea and not received well. But we would like to look at ways to show at the local and state level to reassure Canadian visitors that it is in fact safe to visit us here. And of course, concerns regarding tariffs came up quite a bit, both in the actual retail industry, but as well as the increased cost of tourism, physical improvements. So renovations, new constructions, things like that being hit on, but as well as just discretionary income for tourists themselves. Those are kind of the news update parts. The rest of the session for the first and second day were more related to rewriting your story from crisis to opportunity, breakout sessions, and we had a number of breakout sessions as well as keynote speakers. And that's all I have at this time.
Thank you. Lindsay.
I saw that bumper sticker, Port Angeles, BC. Is that what they're talking about? There's so much to talk about and yet like kind of worth keeping it short. So I'll just pass. Thanks.
Okay, well, I'm going to start with some great personal news I already shared with council and many people of staff. But I thought because so many members of the public have followed along with my law school journey and saga, it has almost finally come to an end. I passed the bar exam and I couldn't, thank you. It felt like a very big accomplishment, and I'm just really humbled and honored and delighted to be able to share it with all of you and to have so much support from people in the community and who have, as I said, followed along with that journey. So thank you. I also wanted to share that Nathan and Corey and I submitted a nomination for Volunteer of the Year through the PDN and Seroptimus International. And that individual is Paul Forrest. He just retired or transitioned off of the Parks Board. And as we all know, he spent so many years founding and starting City Shade. And he volunteers in, so many other aspects of our community. I think donated or spent a lot of time helping to rebuild the Dream Playground. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And so I wanted to share tonight that he did receive that nomination. And I was just so delighted to be able to be a part of the team nominating him and just to be able to continue to celebrate him and his accomplishments and his work making our community better. And thank you to Nathan and Corey for helping spearhead that effort as well.
That's excellent. Thank you, Navarra. Amy.
No report.
Brendan.
A couple of things. The North Olympic Community Media has officially vacated the 215 South Lincoln Street building. So that is good. The channel's back up and running. There's 2 channels. We could have 3 potentially. There's some discussion on whether maybe taking one of the channels and making it more tourist focused. So when people come to Port Angeles, they know what's going on, videos of, parades and different things that we have. And so that's under discussion right now, but the channel is back up currently, still looking for programming or local programming would be great. The other thing is mentioned last council meeting in one of the public comments, the fireworks through the Chamber of Commerce is, we're still looking for there may be a possibility that there may not be fireworks this year for a couple of different reasons. One, the place to launch the fireworks is we're having a difficult time finding a place to launch the fireworks, and then also the expense of the fireworks. Because I don't think we make fireworks in America. It's not a thing that's probably going to go up in cost. So the debate whether $30,000 for 11 minutes of fireworks is an effective use of money as opposed to all the other things that we have throughout the day, which pie baking contest, hot dog eating contest, kids corner thing. So much celebration that we do that day. If somehow instead of using those funds to make those events more spectacular would be a worthwhile investment as opposed to 11 minutes of fireworks, and you got half the people angry because their dogs are hiding or, trying to go to sleep. It's a big thing. A lot of people love fireworks. I love fireworks, but, we'll just have to see what happens in the next coming weeks, but we'll know more definitely what the outcome of that is probably next council meeting.
Thank you. Sorry, I was going to announce, it was nice to have you announce it yourself, but I was going to say something before we started council reports about Navarra and I missed that. So, but congratulations again. I just have 2 things I want to mention. I was able to attend, along with Latricia, there were a lot of other people there, but from council, the groundbreaking ceremony on Saturday for Stevens Middle School, which is really, really exciting. It was a great ceremony, well attended, and I think certainly when things are uncertain around us, it's really exciting to be able to get together to celebrate something so important and valuable for our community. And so that was really nice. One of the employees of the school district at the central office is a retired member of the Coast Guard. And so he called in a favor and they did a flyover for us, which was kind of fun too. That was a really nice thing to be able to participate in. Exciting to see that it will be exciting to watch that be built. And while my kids missed it, there are certainly a whole lot of kids in our community that will benefit from that first school and then moving on. And maybe the timeline works for my younger son to at least be in the construction of the high school. I'm not sure. And then also just wanted to mention that a thank you to Mark Absher. Invited Nathan and I to participate in the chamber board lunch today. With the guest today was Congresswoman Emily Randall. So nice to be able to hear from the business community. We hear obviously at public comment, but also just to hear from the chamber board what particularly based on the organizations that they represent, what are their concerns. She didn't really have anything particularly hopeful to share, but it's always good to get an update and hear sort of her take on what's happening at the on the ground in Washington. So appreciate her willingness to be in the district and meet with folks. And it sounds like she's making efforts in Washington to try to get some cross-aisle collaborative work done. So that was good lunch. Well, I mean, I didn't eat, but it was a good meeting to participate in. And that's all I have. So we'll go to city manager.
So Mayor and Council, I have 3 items for you this evening, in addition to the items that you find in your packet. A number of good reports in there. I did want to remind everyone that there is a open house on the comprehensive plan at the senior center scheduled for April 17th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And additionally, I wanted to share that our April work session was initially held for an update on the Joint Public Safety Facility design. Right now, it's looking like that's going to get scheduled as a 1-hour work session prior to your May 20th council meeting, and that will be the 65% update on the Joint Public Safety Facility. And then finally, council wanted to share that we do have a capital facilities plan work session scheduled for May 27th. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Lindsay, go ahead.
Just to clarify, no work session next week. And then May 20th, were we looking at a joint meeting with the PUD or did that get rescheduled?
Thank you for both those clarifications. So there is no work session next week because originally we had put a placeholder there thinking that the design would be ready to go. And additionally, we have scheduled so let me clarify, the May 20th, 1 hour prior to your regular meeting would be a joint meeting with the county commissioners. That has yet to be confirmed with the commissioners, but that's a placeholder that we heard about in a meeting today that I want everyone to pencil in. And then on May 27th, we have the capital facilities plan, which will be our regular 5 to 7 2-hour work session. And then, as Councilmember Shulman Warren mentioned, we do have a 1-hour planned work session, or I believe it might be 1.5-hour work session that Deputy Manager Goings mentioned at your last council meeting. That is a joint meeting with the PUD commissioners scheduled for June 3rd.
Thank you. I will be looking forward to those calendar invites because I did not make notes there. Thankfully, they just show up. There they are. All right. Thank you, Nathan. And that brings us to our second public comment period. If you are joining us virtually and want to make a comment, please raise your virtual hand. And I've got James signed up for second public comment, but it looks like John's going to beat him to the punch. So you can go next. All right. And it looks like mostly folks who know the drill. So take it away, John.
Yeah, hi, John Ralston, City of Port Angeles resident. Nice to be here with the great weather and not having to wear a puffy coat. I'm going to talk about traffic in downtown PA. I maintain an office near 2nd and Lincoln. I walk in the downtown area on a regular basis, eat meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the downtown area, regular basis. I walk to the post office on a regular basis. I drive my car on a regular basis downtown. The synchronization of the lights downtown is horrible. Prior to all these light changes, one could drive from the country air heading east on First and generally make it to the stoplight at at Peabody and First. That oftentimes doesn't happen anymore. So you've got vehicles that are bogged up through downtown, and oftentimes it's heavy vehicles, and if they're fully loaded and then they have to get going, you get a lot of excess emissions from those diesel rigs. There are also some additional red arrows and other lights on these poles. If you're traveling north on Lincoln and wishing to take normally a free right-hand turn onto First, there's this red arrow that's up there. Now, if it's open for me to turn, even though it's a red light, I will turn. But when there's a red arrow now, you're having a lot of people that won't turn. So now you have people stacked up on Lincoln Street waiting to turn right. It's not good. And because of the narrowness at Second and Lincoln, for people that want to continue on through on Lincoln further north, they can't get into that go through straight lane. Secondly, on turning right from First Street onto Lincoln, there's another one of these red arrows. There's also a big box up there with some stuff. Again, people get bogged down in front of the old Lincoln Theater, and eventually some of that traffic gets out into the normal flow because you can't turn right. Most recently, I'm seeing traffic stacked up on Lincoln Street between First and Front as people wish to turn and come south onto Lincoln. It's nuts. And somebody needs to work on the traffic lights. Think of what it's going to be like when the summer comes around and there's even more traffic and more pedestrians trying to use the streets. It needs to be repaired. Thank you.
Thank you. James.
Hi, James Taylor, City of Port Angeles. Nathan sold a modicum of my point I'm going to make. I received this email from Vision 2025. It says scoping notice. I received it on April 11th. It says the comment period is April 1st through April 30th. So I'm sure it says public comment period, but you don't find this scoping document on the webpage unless you look for it. So the public doesn't even know that they're commenting. This is the comprehensive plan. There's no documentation of what the comprehensive plan looks like unless you look at a planning commission meeting for last month where they went through transportation. You don't find any of the rest of the comprehensive plan documentation. So then this public meeting you're describing, I looked all through the webpage and I did not find a notice on the webpage that there's a public meeting. So, I go through the emotional levels of, oh, I won't bother you. Now I'm just confused. Why isn't, if we got a public meeting, why isn't it on the webpage? Why isn't it on the planning commission page? Why isn't it in little buttons? Why isn't it on the calendar? I don't understand why we have public meetings that are unannounced 2 days before they happen. Now, just recently, we had a public comment. We had a meeting that was announced 24 hours and 2 minutes before the meeting. You guys should be aware that the public wants to see this stuff. And I'll try not to be a curmudgeon, or my wife told me I was a curmudgeon. I'll try not to be one of those. But, get it together so that the public knows this is going on. All right, thank you.
Thank you, James. Mr. Barbieri.
My name is Glenn Barbieri. I'm a Port Angeles City resident. Yeah. I had a shout out to one super munchkin. One, congratulations on your birthday. Two, unfortunately, storks do not give refunds. Okay. I did attend the SquatchCon this year. I even participated. And for a long time, I won't go into all the details because I'm not sure what all of them are myself. I wasn't even sure I was even going to be there, but it happened. And there is some talk of it coordinating more with the senior center for next year. And yes, I know that's a year's advance notice. The details are unknown to me and probably won't be worked out for a number of months yet. So perhaps I can keep you informed of that if you're at all curious. As for everything else I've got on my plate, tonight I actually came to an interesting conclusion. I'll be brief about this. I have been trying to get myself ready for what I want to do. But the thing is, my ideas are ready, whether I'm ready or not. So the task for me now is to find somebody who's ready to listen. So, and we'll see how that goes. So hopefully this week or next week, I'll go up to the college again and see more efficiently, and see if I can interface with them. And I will keep you informed next meeting what my progress has been. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Thank you.
Great. Steve Paleo again, I own a couple businesses here in Port Angeles. I guess my own little citizen report here. I thought the Chamber of Commerce luncheon, I have no affiliation with Citizen Air, but I thought this was a great example. And I hope that staff and council really understand the importance of supporting anyone that's willing to take a risk and invest in our community. You know, the published articles about it seem to, and the social media responses seem to focus more on rich people buying fractional shares of jets or us eventually getting scheduled flight service. I just want to make sure you think more about the overall economic impact to Port Angeles. I mean, this is a new business, leveraging port assets, creating jobs, spending locally on rent, fuel, investing in upgrades if for hangars, for example, that'll just be more rental income. And nobody asked him at the Commerce, but I think this is the guy who's also building 19 homes as well. So this is the guy who's really investing in our community. And again, I just want to make sure that we celebrate, embrace, and make it easy for anyone willing to invest in our town. Speaking of investing in the community, I'd like to know, can we get an update on the Tribe Hotel? I recently learned that Field Hall, I think in a couple of weeks, has an event out of season that they've booked the entire Red Lion and part of the Olympic Lodge over 4 days. This really just shows how desperate we are in need of lodging in this community. And then lastly, I hope we can embrace any other major projects, including downtown waterfront revitalization, potentially some future efforts with the condo project. I'd love to see that get going as well. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments? I don't have anyone online.
If I can just make one
Yes.
quick note, I just wanted to make sure that council and those attending this evening or listening later are aware that we did in fact send a news flash relative to the comprehensive plan meeting that I mentioned, as well as it is posted on our website. The news flash and posting was on March 28th, so it was some time ago.
Thank you. All right. Well, we will be adjourned. Thank you very much. And go enjoy a little bit more sunshine.